This is easily the most misunderstood genre in Japanese horror cinema. Disregarded as trash, accused of being only for awkward teenage boys, the splatter genre houses some of the most entertaining, hilarious, and downright bizarre movies you'll ever see. This is a list of my 5 favourite Japanese splatter films that's not Tokyo Gore Police, because everyone knows that movie and everyone who loves the genre has already seen it. And with good reason. This 2008 Yoshihiro Nishimura classic thrust the genre into the mainstream with its blend of a dystopian future where the police force is privatized, body modifications are common, and suicide is advertised on national television. Welcome to the world of Japanese splatter films. If this is your first time exploring the genre, you're in for a ride. If you're an experienced splatter veteran, you might find my list missing your favorite films. This is my personal list, so leave me a comment down below with yours. I am the Artie Dans, you are watching SHOCKMANIA, and let's get started. One of the directors who will feature prominently on this list, besides Yoshihiro Nishimura, is Nobuo Iguchi, and this is one of his craziest films. While this title might lack the over-the-top splatter the genre is known widely for, it does something else just as outrageous. It has shit-covered zombies. I kid you not, the zombies are covered in shit. The storyline is equally as ridiculous. A group of friends, including the standard high kick girl Megumi, are on a road trip to find a tapeworm, which is said that when eaten, it will keep the person slim and skinny. One of the friends is a model who sees a valid use for the worm, but it gives her stomach cramps. She urgently needs to find a toilet to let it rip. But her fart awakens a zombie that is lying dormant in the outhouse she's using. It's not just one zombie that awakens, but a whole horde. Seeking refuge in the house of a crazy scientist and his daughter, Megumi is forced to battle the zombies to protect her friends, while at the same time suffering an awkward wardrobe malfunction that results in her breast popping out for the entire final fight sequence. Because another thing splatter is usually known for is its nudity. This movie has some outrageous makeup effects and monster designs to go along with the ridiculous plotline. And it all comes together at the end with the introduction of a jetpack powered by farts. For me, one of my highlights is seeing my favourite J-horror actress Asami in a small role as one of the zombies with a tapeworm that emerges from her butt. And honestly, if we weren't talking about an Iguchi splatter film, that scenario would be rightfully laughed at and written off as insane by everyone. Like all splatter films, this isn't for the squeamish, but for a completely different reason besides the gore. But it's a hell of a lot of fun and definitely worth a look if you want an insane first or second look at the genre. Now, if you want insane, Tak Sakaguchi has you covered with this 2011 film called Yakuza Weapon, in which he wrote, directed, and starred in. If you think that Ash getting a chainsaw arm in The Evil Dead was crazy, wait until you see the weapons added to the body of Shozo, our unlikeliest of heroes. You see, after his arm and leg are blown off by his rival in a helicopter, which he hilariously manages to shoot down with a simple grenade launcher, Shozo's body is essentially rebuilt by a secretive team of Japanese government agents who attach a Gatling gun to his arm and a rocket launcher to his knee. Could you imagine being in the creative meeting of this script writing process for this film, and then someone brings up that idea, and then all of a sudden everyone in the room just goes, yep, that sounds good. Utterly insane. And it's because of things like this that make this genre so lovable. One of my favourite parts of the movie actually isn't one of the many splattery moments, but is in fact an awesome long take fighting scene where Shozo battles wave after wave of enemies. A scene that's a prelude to Tak's 2020 film Crazy Samurai Musashi that features a series of very long one-take action sequences. This movie is grungy, gritty, and super creative with heaps of gore, plenty of crazy over-the-top characters, and lots of action. Definitely a hell of a fun film. When the powers of Nobuo Iguchi, Yoshihiro Nishimura, and Tak Sakaguchi combine, the result can only be one thing. Awesome. And that's what we get with Mutant Girl Squad. A schoolgirl called Rin discovers that she's a descendant of mutants with superpowers and meets another mutant girl called Rei, who introduces her to a small group of rebels led by Tak Sakaguchi in crossdress. All hell breaks loose when she's ordered to kill a high-ranking general who is opposed to mutants, but she turns against the rebels when she refuses to kill other humans. The movie gets more and more insane as it approaches its ending, with the three directors each taking turns at directing specific thirds of the film, meaning that while the overall product is one of the best splatter films you'll ever see, there's also three distinct styles in its overall presentation, and I think, in my opinion, they gel very well together. When you think of splatter films, this is probably the perfect example. Over-the-top kills and gore, wild special effects, ridiculous characters, and plenty of scenarios that will no doubt offend the super-sensitive crowd. But the movie knows what its audience wants. It knew what I wanted, and that is why I will always recommend this film to anyone who wants to watch splatter films. However, this is a movie series that I'm kinda hesitate to recommend to people unless I know they're really ready for something like this. I'm just going to refer to this movie series as Lust of the Dead, but it has a less tasteful title of Rape Zombie. This movie comes from the utterly twisted and wonderful mind of Naoki Tomomatsu, who also plays the role in the first three movies as the leader of a cult obsessed with an idol girl who is pregnant with the androgynous savior of the human race. Now, there are 5 movies in this series, and they all kind of continue on after each other, but realistically, you only need to watch the 5th film, as it contains about a 15 to 20 minute recap of the previous 4 films at the start of it. In fact, one of the most annoying things about the 2nd to 5th movies are the recaps at the beginning, which makes watching these movies back to back really tedious. The female cast is made up almost entirely of Japanese AV actresses, AV standing for adult video, and it's wall-to-wall sex and nudity. So if seeing nude women scares you more than zombies and blood, then it's best to avoid this movie and retain your innocence. So, what's this movie series about? All the men of the world are suddenly turned into sex-crazed zombies, attacking any woman they see. A group of female survivors meet up at a camp where they aim to protect each other from the raping zombie men. The group of women include a schoolgirl who's turned into a robot, a housewife who ends up being cloned, an innocent girl who ends up being an idol pregnant with the savior, and another girl who is a nurse trying to find a cure. The situations get more and more insane in the movies, including a time travel scenario in part 4 and an origin story in part 5. Interestingly, the first 3 movies were made to be a trilogy, with parts 4 and 5 added later on when the movies became a bit of a cult hit. This resulted in Alice Sazawa, who played the nurse in the first 3 movies, being inexplicitly replaced for the final 2 movies when the director couldn't make contact with her in time before they started production. This also results in the flashback scenes being cleverly edited or reshot to remove any scene of Alice in it. When Alice found out what happened, she was actually quite disappointed because she really wanted to reprise her role in the last 2 films. Also, Asami's in it. All 5 movies. So that's good for me. It's tasteless, vile, disgusting, and absolutely a riot of a movie series. It has the cheesiest special effects. Actually, cheesy is not the right word. The effects are utterly terrible. And so much sex and nudity, you'll think you've mistakenly watched the wrong film. Now, speaking of tasteless, this title will probably make you blush. If you thought the previous titles were outrageous and distasteful, then let me introduce you to the insane world of Mai-Chan and her torturous daily life. If you ever think you're having a bad day at work, it's nothing compared to what poor Mai-Chan has to put up with. Based on a manga series, which is apparently far more graphic, violent, and depraved than this movie, we follow a girl called Miyako who accepts a new job at a mysterious residence as a maid. While there, she meets Mai, an immortal girl who has an ability to regenerate any part of her body that's dismembered. The head of the house and his assistant seems to take great pleasure in torturing Mai on a daily basis, and surprise, surprise, this also seems to sexually arouse Miyako as well. What a sick girl. There is gore galore in this film. I remember the first time I watched it being a bit taken aback by the gore on display, but I've since mellowed. Slightly. On top of the gore, there is a heap of nudity thanks to the fact that Mai is played by AV actress Ann Koshi, who is also in the fourth Lust of the Dead movie as well. This movie will appear to Gore and Splatter hounds. All of its budget, after it paid for the nude girls, has gone into the blood effects. And considering its lineage, it had to. That's what the fans wanted, that's what the fans got. The sickos. The only real negative about the movie is the inconsistent soundtrack volume. But chances are you're watching this on a low volume anyway. So, that is a list of my 5 favourite splatter gore movies, although in all honesty, there's a lot more than 5. This was just 5 to get us started, and I do realise that I've missed a lot of the classics, and they're probably your favourites as well. So I'd be pretty keen to know what your 5 or 10 or 20 favourite splatter gore films are in the comments below. And yes, I consider all 5 movies that we've covered in this video today part of the splatter and gore genre. Anyway, I'm the Artie Dans. You are watching Shockmania. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, please press like. If you like what we do here on Shockmania, please consider subscribing to support the channel. Otherwise, there's a lot more gory horror stuff on this channel, so I'd love for you to tune in and watch a few more. I'll see you next time.